Hey, is art over because of AI? No, but it's more complicated than that. Hi, I'm ToniLarios. I hate to be called an artist, but actually that's exactly what I am. I do art for a living. I've done art ever since I was a little kid. Everything that I do is art. My whole life revolves around art, and everything I cover around here has something to do with art. You see, art is very powerful. Art is in everything, and it's very important. It's far more important than what you realize, and it guides your life in way more aspects than what you would have ever imagined or give it credit to. Art has made you what you are, who you are, and it determines the kind of things that you believe and that you do, regardless if you think about it or not, or if you believe it or not. Art is very broad. I could talk about art forever and make this video last like 75 hours, but instead I'm going to try to make it short. In short terms, art is the most important factor to utilize in order to control human behavior, human beliefs, and human structure, social structure that is. Art is one of the main, if not the main catalyzer that makes you have liberal beliefs, conservative beliefs, if you like a certain type of music, if you like a certain type of anything, even what you eat. You see, apart from being a career that is stereotypically being considered a deadbeat career, if you're an artist, you're broke pretty much. Society wouldn't exist without art. Art has one of the most powerful things about humanity, and that is symbolism. It is the main instrument to provide people with symbolism, and symbolism is what gives you ideas. So that is why art is so important, and that is why I'm so passionate about it. Everything has symbolism, from the packaging of the food that you eat every day to the movies, music, propaganda that you see everywhere. It all has symbolism, and it all works in your brain because of symbolism. Where am I going with all this? In this channel I cover comics, movies, and random pieces of media, and just my occasional thoughts here and there, like this one. I wanted to structure it a little bit better, but there's no time really. Everything advances too quick. I want to talk about so many things, but things change so fast that there's no time to keep up. Our puny little meat brains can't possibly compete with current technology, so what are you going to do? Well, what you do is have a scrambled, convoluted channel like mine that seems to have no rhyme or reason, even though it actually does have it, and I just didn't have time to structure it properly. Anyways, AI art has far more relevance and importance than just making the ideal hentai art for people who didn't know how to draw, or do what if scenarios of what if Dragon Ball Z was a dark fantasy 80s movies or stuff like that. It all seems very harmless. The most important things usually tend to look very unassuming. That is how you make an idea work for in the long term. Make it just like low key there, floating your brain, and you don't really realize it. You don't really think about it too much. It's like whatever. You let it slip by, and before you know it, it's lashed in your brain and it's controlling your actions. So anyways, is art over because of AI? Well, no, as I said, not really. Not exactly. The most important question here is not that, actually, in my opinion. In my opinion, the most important thing is, does anything has any kind of relevance anymore because of AI? Is there space for humans in the future, not so far ahead future? Because of AI, is there even relevance to being a person anymore? Well, in relation to that, my opinion is that No, there's no relevance or space for a human being in the near future. If you let technology occupy its space, there's no skill that a person can have that technology can't do faster and bigger. And in that regard, there's nothing that any live being can do that technology can't replace with something faster, stronger, bigger. I believe the end goal to that is precisely that, to leave life itself behind, to render life itself obsolete and supplanted with something else, something more quote-unquote efficient, quote-unquote cheaper, and easier to maneuver, easier to handle. Animals in general, including us, are expensive to maintain, are delicate, are difficult to control, and are temporary, which makes us inefficient in a modern capitalized point of view. Society revolves around capitalism. Capitalism requires efficiency, cost effectiveness, and permanent maintenance and constant advancement. We have reached a point where it's unsustainable, even for the near future. It's going to collapse, and it's going to collapse fast. In history, it always has, and it always will. You see the Romans, you see a lot of examples in history where this form of structure has always collapsed when it reaches this point, as the point that we are right now. If you study history, you will realize that civilization has always reached a high point before it starts to deteriorate and degenerate in the same ways that it's doing right now. It's inevitable collapse, which is something that is going to happen really soon, and I feel that whoever is in control of everything that is happening right now is aware of that, and it's trying to prevent that, creating its new tools in order to perpetuate this structure, this time forever, this time for good. And for that you need efficient machines. We can't deliver on that. Humans, people, animals, live creatures can't keep up with that anymore. So you need something better. You need something faster, stronger, more durable. No wonder the transhuman movement is so strong nowadays. Pretty much is the pushing that it's being implemented in everybody's subconscious for like the last, at least generation probably. I don't know. Not way more than that. For the last couple of decades or something. Where am I going with all that? Well, to make this short, art is the vanguard to implement an idea. Every revolution, every religion, every political party, everything needs art to create the symbolism that they want to implant in people's minds. Having artificial intelligence appropriate art is the main key to get into people's minds. So no, art is not dying because of artificial intelligence. We are dying because of artificial intelligence, if in any case. Slowly. That is how you make something work, as I said. Do it subtly, slowly. Artificial intelligence is just a program. It's just a tool. Tools, just the symbols, are not bad or good. It just depends on how you use them. A hammer is useful and harmless if you only use it to nail things. But it can also be a weapon, and you can immediately end somebody's life. The same thing with symbolism, same thing with artificial intelligence. It's just technology. Technology is not bad or good. You can use a nuclear bomb to destroy a city, or you can use nuclear energy to energize a city. The problem is that you're implementing a technology that shouldn't have been implemented yet, with people who are not ready to utilize something like that. If anything, all of the current events, all the need to have stopped the progress of artificial intelligence for like 6 months or something, as it happened, every social problem that exists nowadays is evidence of all the fallacies that we have as people, all the flaws, and all the proof of how immature we are as a collective mind, as a species. You have individual exceptions here and there, but in a collective, every single one of us has to be included. And as that, we are in a deplorable mental state. Aside from art, psychology is one of the things that I'm more passionate about. If I have the opportunity, I'm gonna elaborate more on that because I want to. Anyways, I want to finish this as soon as possible. For every positive implementation that you can have, that you can think of, that is being done with artificial intelligence, good stuff that anybody in their right side of mind should be happy that is happening, there is 10, 20 malicious and destructive, toxic things that are being done with it. This era is I find it so curious. I'm fascinated by the fact that I'm living in this era where we are just seeing all the ways a person can be corrupted and all the flaws that a mind can have all put together in a single bottle. We are seeing all the possible flaws that a human being can have, and we see it every day. It's fascinating. I feel almost fortunate to live in this era that we're living right now. Fortunate to learn. Anyways, all the progress, quote unquote progress, is nothing but a transmutation. And a transmutation from an entity like a human being to a machine that can be and will be reprogrammed to do whatever and have no real will of its own. So how do you utilize AI art for that? Well, first, you don't just do it straight up right away. It's not gonna work. But as every major wave of thought that has been implemented in history, first you introduce the idea as a progressive thought, as an improvement that everybody can be a part of. Everybody should be a part of. It's easy to be a part of this. You always have to do less work and at the same time be more dedicated. At the same time give more of you. Just look at Christianity or communism, for example. The main ideas are always basically just give in and don't worry about it, we got you, and it's gonna be better later. The all being on top of you has all the answers, has everything, will do everything for you, don't worry about it. We have the solution for your problems regardless of what problem you have. Look at all these examples, they say, and that's where art comes in, with all these different forms of media that introduce you the ideas, examples. If you're an artist, you can join in this so you can propagate the ideas even further. You provide the means in order for the artist to propagate those ideas with symbolism, with their symbolist art, regardless of what it is. The more unassuming, the better. Although you can be blunt too, that works in certain cases, in its proper cases. Once it has been propagated and people already have latched to that idea, they will become that idea. And once they have become that idea, then art doesn't really matter that much anymore. It only matters to perpetuate that idea, to keep people engaged in that. And when that happens, it's only a matter of repetition. The symbolism remains there, and now it's all a matter of letting it pay for itself, if you want to say it like that. Over generations, the initial idea starts to distort. You start to lose the initial idea of progress and well-being in order to start obeying the personal goals of the people enforcing these ideas. Again, you see it with, for example, Christianity and communism, for example. You see it with everything, capitalism, everything. It all starts as a good, noble, progressive idea of of improvement, of betterment, fulfillment. People fall for it, they get comfortable with it, they adopt it, they become indoctrinated in it. Before they know it, they're slaves to it. They have nowhere to hide. They can't escape anymore. They have been transformed into drones without escape. If you hear weird sounds, it's my dog right next to me, trying to find a comfortable spot just to lay down. So anyways, once it's settled down, the machine sort of starts to work by itself, like the examples that I just gave a couple of seconds ago. People that think keeping that machine going are not even living with the ideals that the initial idea was giving. They instead just live as I said, drones of it, just to keep it oiled up and running for the goals of the leaders, who don't share, never share the initial ideas. It's always to empower them, and you don't matter. This is exactly what is happening with. This is why AI is so important. That is why it's being utilized so much. Is the segue into what is going to happen, who knows when, in the future. My only humble opinion, I guess, you want to say it like that, in regard to this would be that if you really meant for artificial intelligence to be nothing but goody goodies, I would say rule number one should be that you keep artificial intelligence and the internet as two separate entities that shouldn't intervene with each other. Artificial intelligence should stay away from the internet at all times. That would demonstrate that you mean well when you try to implement artificial intelligence in the world, which brings me to rule number two. Artificial intelligence should only be utilized in order to research things like mathematical innovations or study of the space or deep ocean, the weather, stuff like that. And it should never be utilized to make a script for a movie, for example, or to intervene in social media or propaganda or anything like that. Obviously that's not going to happen, but at least I said it there. Well, I said things that I had in my mind, and I feel comfortable about it. There you go. Bye bye.